Sometimes it's not the loudest person in the room who commands the most respect, but the one who is perfectly willing to walk out of it and never return. While alphas are busy posturing for dominance and others are desperate for social validation, the Sigma male operates on a frequency that most people cannot even detect. He doesn't need to shout to be felt, and he doesn't need to argue to be right. When a Sigma male decides you are no longer part of his journey, there is no dramatic exit, just a permanent, clinical silence. If you are watching this, it's because you understand that high-level independence isn't a phase, it's a survival strategy. Stay until the end of this video, because we are going to deconstruct the exact psychological mechanics that allow a Sigma to delete a person from his life without a single regret. You will learn about the Master of the Void and why his solitude is actually his greatest superpower. By the time we reach the final point, you'll understand why his rearview mirror is the most dangerous part of his character. Number 1. The invisible audit. While normal people often use loud arguments and emotional outbursts to try and fix a failing relationship, the Sigma male performs a silent cost-benefit analysis. He begins a clinical investigation into your character long before you even realize there's a problem, checking boxes in his mind while you mistakenly believe he is simply being quiet. He is gathering data, weighing your actual value against the peace you are destroying, and calculating the exact moment your presence becomes a liability. Most people seek emotional drama to feel heard or to spark a change, but the Sigma male has no interest in the theater of conflict. He views your chaos with cold clarity, watching the patterns of your behavior and comparing them against his internal code. By the time you notice he is withdrawing, he has already completed a months-long audit of your worth. Think about your own patterns. Have you ever noticed him watching you in silence while you were at your loudest? He wasn't ignoring you, he was finalizing the report. The consequence of this internal lock is absolute. By the time he actually packs his bags and leaves, the math is done. His decision is backed by a mountain of evidence that you are no longer worth the investment, making any hope of his return a statistical impossibility. But this is only the beginning of the shutdown process. What happens next involves an internal emotional timeline that turns fire into something much more permanent. Number 2. Indifference as ice. Most people walk away while they are still fueled by anger, but a Sigma male waits until he feels absolutely nothing. He does not exit during a heated moment of passion. Instead, he allows the fire of his resentment to transform into the clinical ice of indifference. While the average man remains tethered to a person through the energy of hate or the hope of an apology, the Sigma deliberately removes every drop of emotional fuel until the connection is hollow. He processes this shift internally as a psychological cooling period, moving from frustration to a state of total vacancy where you are treated with the same lack of interest he offers a stranger on the street. If you are a Sigma, you know this feeling. It is the moment the person across from you becomes a ghost before they've even left the room. You aren't shouting because there is nothing left worth raising your voice for. You have reached the end of the book and found it boring, so you simply close the cover. This makes a comeback impossible because you cannot rekindle a fire once the bridge has been burned and the ash has been cleared by your own hand. Number 3. The privilege tax. Society tells the crowd to tolerate toxic people for the sake of history or blood, but the Sigma male views his presence as a limited, high-value resource. He operates on the fundamental truth that access to his life is a privilege, not a right that you are entitled to keep regardless of your behavior. While most people suffer from the sunk cost fallacy, staying in a draining situation because they've already invested years, the Sigma is never willing to waste a 6th year just because he spent 5. He views the relationship as an asset that has gone into default. Once the value drops below his internal standard, he executes a total liquidation. If you try to chase him after he's gone, you will find a wall of clinical detachment. He has already deleted your number and removed you from his mental map as if you were merely obsolete equipment. He isn't punishing you with his absence. He is simply returning to a mission where you are no longer part of the required gear. He values his time too much to spend it on a liability. If this resonates with your own experiences, drop a comment below and share why you chose to walk away. Number 4. Identity suicide. The average person will often become a doormat or compromise their dignity just to avoid the discomfort of being alone, but a Sigma male prioritizes the man in the mirror above any social bond. He lives by a strict internal code of self-respect where returning to a source of disrespect is viewed as a form of identity suicide. While others trade their values for the sake of temporary comfort, the Sigma refuses to break the trust he has with his own principles. This disrupts expectations because people expect him to fold under the pressure of loneliness, but he finds power in his own consistency. You have to understand that for a Sigma, the pain of a clean break is nothing compared to the permanent shame of betraying his own code. His ability to let go of what no longer serves him is his true superpower. Returning to you is impossible because he would have to kill the version of himself that he respects just to let you back in, and that is a price he is never willing to pay. What comes next is the most misunderstood part of his nature, the way he handles the silence that follows. Number 5. Master of the Void. The average man returns to a toxic situation because he suffers from a crushing fear of the silence that follows a breakup. The Sigma male, however, is the undisputed master of that void, treating solitude not as a social death, but as his native habitat. While most people are desperately trying to fill the empty space with distractions or new rebounds, the Sigma is using that vacuum to rebuild his mission, study his mistakes, and grow without a single symptom of emotional withdrawal. This ability to exist comfortably in the nothingness causes fear in others because it breaks the power balance. You have zero leverage to pull him back when he doesn't need your presence to feel whole. Imagine a predator that thrives in the dark while everyone else is panicking for a light. That is the Sigma in solitude. He never looks back because the space you once occupied was immediately reclaimed by his own projects and peace. Number 6. Binary loyalty. In a world that begs for endless second chances, the Sigma male views reconciliation as a total waste of intellectual energy. He views loyalty as a binary switch. Once a single crack appears in the foundation of trust, the entire structure is considered irrevocably tainted and scheduled for demolition. While the crowd engages in drawn-out forgiveness cycles and messy talks, the Sigma's internal mechanism is strictly clinical. You are either loyal or you are out of the equation. This disrupts expectations because people assume everything is negotiable, but for the Sigma, a betrayal of the code is a permanent disqualification. If you broke his trust, don't expect a seat at the table ever again. You don't get to do over a betrayal when his survival mechanism is designed to cut ties in one decisive motion. He never returns because reopening a door he deliberately shut would undermine the very resolve that defines his character. Number 7. Reclassification to nonentity. Normal people hold on to grudges for years, keeping the fire of resentment alive, but the Sigma male simply reclassifies you as a nonentity in his personal universe. He performs a mental ghosting so deep that you no longer factor into his decisions, his future plans, or even his active recollections. While the average person seeks closure through debates and long-winded explanations, the Sigma finds his own closure within the clinical void of his silence. He views your desire for a final talk as a pathetic attempt at manipulation that he chooses to ignore with total detachment. He has already reset the chapters of his life. By the time you are ready to apologize, he has already become a different person in a different world, and you are just a ghost in a story he no longer reads. If you've ever had to delete someone this way to save yourself, let us know in the comments. The final realization of why he never looks back isn't about hate, it's about the physics of his movement. Ultimately, a Sigma male never looks back because his internal world is more expansive than any external attachment. While the crowd is haunted by the ghosts of their past, he is driven by the mission of his future. Your ability to walk away and stay gone isn't about cruelty, it is about the clinical preservation of your own excellence. Your strength is far too deep, and your code is too sacred to be traded for the comfort of a familiar mistake. You have mastered the void, and in doing so, you have become invincible. The rearview mirror is for those who are afraid of where they are going. You are not one of them. Thank you so much for watching.